where you have, this is a big market now, in which they select children, where in which, for example, they will touch up children's body parts and sell these videos to people, or basically even with children themselves, they'll have them trafficked to other persons as well. So these are persons who particularly have a preference for children. And it is happening here as well. We have persons who are months old, babies who are months old who are actually being touched as well. Yes, people, it's a reality. Any other question? All right, go ahead. Or comments?
No, I have a question. I know a lot of young people who go on this work-study program, and times are hard and they need to raise the funds to go through school and so on. I know you gave some organizations there, but do you have a contact number or anything if say I apply for this work-study program, I go on it, I suspect, or even before I leave, I suspect that it might be trafficking. Is there a contact number, somebody where we can call?
The contact numbers, NATFATIP, I don't know if you can see it clearly, that's a National Task Force Against Trafficking in Person. The number is right here, 908-5510, 906-4923. I can give it to you after. As well as what persons normally do, which doesn't always work out, is they contact the Jamaican consulate in the other country. So if they can actually find a Jamaican embassy in another country, which is rare, people, it's not exactly common, as if you're probably a U.S. citizen, it's sometimes very hard. And most times, persons who are victims of human trafficking never return, to be frank. Most times, they never find them. Yes. It's only few persons that actually returned or actually find their way back home. Most times they end up dead, drug overdose and everything, and they find them dead. Because even in Africa itself, I think it's probably in Namibia, I'm not sure of the country itself, in which you have children, you know, Europe and their bigger cotton and gold and everything, estates and stuff. They actually have children who are trafficked there to work for them. Children as young as 8 and 9 who are promised a better life. And they're taken to countries like those by traffickers to actually work on farms for long hours every day. Right? So you have things like this that's actually happening. And even so, you have sometimes children, you send your children abroad for a better life. Sometimes you have the very family members who basically force that child to do more work in the house than anybody else. And sometimes prevent them from even going to school. So these are common things that actually happen. You need to look out for it as well. And be careful again of the people who you entrust your children with. All right, be careful of that. And with that being said, just reminding you guys, I know you want to go home, it's late, possibly. Just remember, sorry, let's go. This is what I want you guys to remember. The act, the means, and the purpose to make it human trafficking. Go ahead.
Hi, evening everybody. Two things. One, so wonderful presentation. I want to bring across a little story. Human trafficking survivor, and she says, I was raped 43,200 times. This is a CNN article. Now I want you to just sit down and just grasp that number for a little bit. 43,200 times. And this is an article from CNN World, dated September 20, 2017.
Yes.
Carla, can't call the last name, it's a funny last name, was lured from poverty in Mexico by a man who befriended her with sweets and a story. With what? Sweetie. Oh, okay. She spent 4 years being forced to have sex 30 times a day. She looked straight into my eyes, her voice cracking slightly as she tells me the number. She wants me to remember 43,200. So, this is not something that is a play thing.
Yeah, and even in, you're on the right, that perfect, because, and the thing is that when they have sex with this person, anywhere, anything at all that they want to do with you, they are permitted to. Anything at all that they want to do with you, they are permitted to. And normally if you don't follow through, in the end, you're basically going to get hurt.
All right. Next one. I heard you mentioning the airport situation and the questions being asked. I experienced a situation where I was questioned by an officer with my son. I was going to the United States with him, and she said to me, "Where is the letter from the mother?"
Yes.
I said, "This is my child." She said, "I don't care." "Where's the letter?" I said, "Well, I don't have a letter, and I did not know that I needed a letter." At this point, I'm now thinking, look how my money wastes. I'm going to have to go back home. Because she was basically saying, I have the right to turn you back right here,
exactly.
So right now. And she went ahead and she questioned my son. She said, "What is your name? And better than that, who is this man?" Right? And he had to provide his date of birth and identify who I was, and that he was traveling on his own free will. So, what was said earlier, let us not take it for granted that even though I am married and everything all right, they can consider it as an illegal act if I take my child in the U.S. without the permission of the mother. All right?
And you also have mothers or parents who actually sell their children to other persons because they say they want to give them a better life, or because they're poor, they cannot financially maintain their children. So you do have persons who sell their own children to get money in return. So it does happen. I just have a few questions to ask. We have some shirts, so just have a few questions to ask. See if any of you can actually get any of the shirts that we have. All right. Let me show you the shirts. Yes. Repeat. Yes, some nice shirts, as your pastor indicated. And we have some books as well for you guys and pamphlets. What are the 3 things that must happen in order for trafficking, for it to become trafficking? Hold on, you?
There must be an act, means, and a purpose.
All right, give me some examples under any of these.
Purpose.
Why do they take them? For what purpose? Helper?
Or if they need organs or...
Yes, correct. Organ removal and transplant and transportation or transplant. Give her a hand up, people. Yay. Here we go. Good.
And I like this, forum. Because, it's a very long time I see this even advertised on the TV. And you come up with it now. Why people see these things and still go into the agent? That's the thing that really bothering me now. Because although you're doing these things now, people still doing that. Why the reason they do it? That's the thing that bothers me. Because it's not, I see it on the TV, I see it actually. And people still choosing going to the agent. Is what? Is the agent, is it poor, or want, or neglectful? That's the question I want.
All right. It is still going on, even though it's been shown. But what we're trying to do, sorry. Oh, my apologies. What we're trying to do more and more is to make persons aware of what's going on. Because before, a lot of things are going on, but guess what? They were not being spoken about publicly. So what we are trying to do is for persons to now be advocates of this whole thing of human trafficking. So the more persons know about it, the more empowered they will actually be to basically put an end to it. We're not going to say that it will end, but at least we can actually have a decline or a decrease in it. Because a lot of times, for example, typical example, domestic violence. Persons are being hit and they feel that it was okay. But when persons are being empowered to say, okay, this is a form of domestic violence and it should not happen to you, then persons are now able to say, oh, I didn't know that somebody hitting me, it meant that the person didn't love me, right? Because some people actually feel, that if you hit me, if he doesn't hit me, he doesn't love me. So taking a simple example like that, when we go and we say to someone, love doesn't hurt, and stuff like that, then person become more enlightened to say, okay, then it is wrong. So when we come to you now and we say to you, the type human trafficking, tell you how victims are recruited, tell you all these things, now you're more enlightened about it to say, if you see it happening, it's on your part now to say, no, it is wrong, or to stop it before it even happens. So this is why we are here. It's a few of us, but it's many of you. So if you are now the person to pass on the message to other persons about this whole issue of human trafficking. All right? Any other questions? Go ahead.
We cannot see something that seems wrong and stay quiet. It is wrong. I think that if you see something wrong and you stay quiet, you're just as bad as those who are perpetuating this particular act. Many times, a lot of these things could have been nipped in the bud, but we decide to stay quiet. And the victims predominantly are our young women. We cannot stay quiet. We have to speak, even if it is being done by my good friend, neighbor's son. We have to speak up. We have to protect our female children.
Yeah, that's true. Wrong is wrong, right is right. You get me? And if it's wrong, it's just wrong overall. If it's wrong, it's just wrong overall. And again, thank you so much. We need now to be advocates of this whole thing of human trafficking. The books. All right. So we have some books to hand out to you guys on human trafficking, as well as Miss Francis. Could you assist me? All right. In closing as well, can somebody give me 3 organizations you could actually contact in the case you suspect or know someone who's a victim of human trafficking? 3 organizations to contact. CTAC? Not for tip? Yes. The Bureau of Gender Affairs. Very good. You want me to give you a shirt? No, I have. You have one. All right. Very good. All right. Okay. Hold on, sure. You didn't get one, definitely. There you go. All right, so that is it. Thank you very much for having me. And this is the end of my presentation. Thank you. see it.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Scarlett, for such an informative presentation. What do you say, church? We cannot be the same after this presentation. We have to have our eyes and our ears on the ground, our alert antennas up for ourselves and for everybody else around us. Right, church? Okay, I invite Sister Monique now to extend thanks to Miss Scarlett.
Good evening, Miss Scarlett. I'd like to present to you this token just for the very informative presentation that you've given to us. From that, we've learned that though females are more dominant in being targeted, males are also targeted as well, and we should take from that, learn from it, all that you have presented to prevent us from being trafficked, right? So, on behalf of Maypen, I'd like to give you this token and say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The book that you received, Trapped, Sean's story, Pastor Grant had them in stock, and I read through it. It's very, very interesting. Real life situation, a true story. He also has a video, so I'm going to ask for permission to show it one afternoon for AY, all right? So read through the book and analyze it, have your thoughts, and then we'll come and watch the video and we do an assessment of it, all right, everybody? Thank you so much for having participated in this afternoon's program. And next week will be another interesting program. I think we'll be focusing on drug abuse, drug awareness. Next week is the start of Drug Awareness Week. All right, so see you all again next week. I now hand over to Pastor Grant.